Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995 Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi. Am I on the air?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm used to seeing the camera there. Hi, welcome everybody here. Monday, a little bit late, but you know, we have to get everything, our ducks in order, as they say. Okay, so I have my special guest, Dawn and Freddie are here. My two special guests are here today. And hello to Margaret and hello to Marita. They're not in the studio, but they are listening.
We got to get your friends back in here.
Happy birthday, Margaret. It's her birthday today.
Today?
Yes, yes. So we all wish you a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Margaret.
Happy birthday, my friend Margaret.
How old is Margaret? 29?
No, she's about 82 today, I think.
Oh,
So people are living a lot longer.
it's pretty amazing.
Okay, I'm still not quite ready to come out with my age, but I will. I'm younger than Margaret, but not a lot, not a lot. Okay, so today's show, I believe, is gratitude, and it's also what we feel is no coincidences. What we think are coincidences are not coincidences. So anybody that wants to call in, please call in. The number is
888-994-4995 Studio A.
And you'll take any question, not just coincidences or
Absolutely,
gratitude, anything.
Freddie, thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. And I do want to say, as my book has just come out, how all this started with me. Many years ago, I documented everything, my journey of how I was getting messages, how I was able to actually paint, which I had not done from previous lifetimes. The QR code, and I've just learned what a QR code is right here. Purchase my book, and it's an ebook, and it's also in soft cover. So I don't do.
And it's on Amazon, right?
It's actually on Amazon, and this takes you also to Author House, which was my publishers. I self-published it. So.
Dawn, you received something from Amazon also.
I did. I got an email from Amazon saying that there is a new book release I think you'll be interested in for an author you follow.
Right.
And they sent me the link to your book, which was incredible.
Beautiful, because I was not aware of that. But just to let our viewers know too, it is also in an ebook. So that will take you to the ebook, which is under authorhouse.com. But Amazon doesn't have the ebook, but it has my book.
They have a Kindle.
It's Kindle, but it does have paintings in it. So, you know, I mean, if you want to find it easier in an ebook, but if you want to keep my paintings, some of them are in the book. So
Definitely.
And we are Amazon influencers, so they sent me a link
Oh, that's probably
for your
why.
book,
Yes.
and they sent me a link for any other merchandise that because I told them that we're working on getting some of these things on clothing as well.
Well, you know, that brings us to something that happened when I walked into the cafe. I don't remember, but I put out on your board, you said, you remember you wrote something on a paper towel? And I'm thinking, what did I write? And I had put, my book will be out within the next 6 months, and it'll be selling. So you took me to where I had written that. I had forgotten completely. So I crossed out the 6 months because that's up, and I put now. And I believe I've sold 3 books today.
Wow.
So it happens. Yes, it happens. Someone
Again, the paper towel and the Sharpie.
it's not
First of all, she didn't have a
coincidence.
date on it, and it didn't happen until she put a date. Didn't you say that the whole instruction was be specific?
Be specific.
Her
has to
message
be.
was not specific.
It said
It
in
wasn't,
6
and I
months.
should have known better. I said within the 6 months. But when you showed me today, I put a big now and crossed out the 6 months. And I've had 3 orders already within about
First
an
of all,
hour.
she didn't show you. I showed you.
Freddie showed me.
I showed you.
Freddie showed me. Okay, thank you.
So you put the date on it, and you got 3
I
books
just
sold.
put now.
And
So
3
now
books
could be
sold.
tomorrow is now, the next day is now. Yes, I've already sold 3.
The time is now.
So
You can do
the
it.
time is now. I believe so much in that. So anybody that wants to call in, I'm learning. Everybody, we're all learning, and I'm certainly learning more, and I'm understanding more. I'm understanding so much. And you know, I talk a lot about positivity. It's so very important, but I say that, but I'm beginning to understand how important it is, because what we put out there does manifest. And I've learned a lot about that. So anybody that's listening or is listening to my show and it's on a record, I'd like to talk actually more about that, because a lot of the things are not coincidence. We're given messages. So ask me questions. I'm ready.
Today you told me you were given a message from Elizabeth, but not a message from her, but who she is to you.
Yes, that was very interesting to me, because I had mentioned, we both had, Elizabeth is around us. And I was emphasizing the Beth, but I knew it was Elizabeth. And I had a dream. Well, it's not a dream, as we know. Sometimes, you know, we're actually there. I won't bring up your situation right now. But Elizabeth, Betty, was my mother's sister. My mother came from a large family, but one of her sisters she was very close to, who had never had children. So I was like her child, because she was my aunt, but because she was so friendly and with my mother, I was her child too. And it never occurred to me that Elizabeth was my mother's aunt, who is giving us, as you know, Dawn, we talk about it, messages. And I also looked up on Google, what does Beth stand for? Well, it's Elizabeth too, I believe. So the name, although I was emphasizing the Beth, I was not getting Elizabeth. So it's my aunt. She's watching over both of us. I believe that is Beth, but either way, it's okay, because I know that she's with us and Elizabeth is around.
From another lifetime.
From another, I wanted to say that too. She was in this lifetime, but we are, and I know you don't mind coming out with us a little bit, we were connected in another lifetime, which she was very much in that lifetime with us. So she watches over both of us.
When you open yourself up to past lives, because I was away this past weekend, and went to this beautiful hotel, Biltmore. And just so much about that hotel just opened up. I kept thinking of Friday, saying, where'd you go? Where'd you go? And it's just as almost I traveled back to another time. And I can't tell you it was the Biltmore, but it was the feeling of that time period of what it was.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I hear a lot, but I don't always understand what I'm hearing. And they say everything is happening at once. Well, in our 3D world, and anybody that's listening, and I'm sure at this point, if they're listening to my show, they understand what I'm saying when I say our 3D world, we don't know even to make sense of how, though, is everything all happening at once. But if you lift that little bit of vibrational energy, which I'm really into understanding this today, everything is still going on. And I'm understanding more. So what we were, again, I've lost it slightly. Just ask me the question.
Past lives.
Past lives. Our lives are still continuing. It's just that we're on a different vibrational energy. So and it's hard. But if you stop and think about this, think about a TV. You switch a station. It doesn't mean that the other stations aren't running. They're running, but you're still listening to the one that you're listening to. It's the same thing. They're still running. And our now is what's important, where we are now. But our now is still happening from centuries ago and into the future. Think about it. You don't have to understand it. It's taken me a long time, and I'm not completely understanding it. That I know. But I'm seeing that, because if you believe it, and that's so important, we were just talking about that. If you believe, then you're opening up a door, so to speak, that, okay, anything can happen. And if you close that door and you don't believe, you'll still have these things happening, but you won't know they're happening because you're not ready to receive it. So the answer is receive information that you're getting, because we are given information all the time. It's very, very important.
It was really interesting because we were there, and then I went to Vizcaya. Same type of error, but not the same feel.
But you had the feel from the Biltmore?
Yes.
And that's been, I didn't want to interrupt you. Now it's coming to me. I felt very comfortable a long time ago. Well, I haven't been to the Biltmore, but I believe there's another Biltmore somewhere. Is it in Chicago or
I
something?
think there's a couple.
Yeah. I felt so comfortable when I heard the Biltmore. And I didn't know why, but only sitting here now on the show, I'm realizing I've had the same effect, having not been even to the Biltmore. So I
And
have
then
to go
there's
there.
an anesthesia room, and it was
Oh
all
my
of these
gosh.
things, Sally, that it was one after another that I felt like if somewhere in time that if I'd actually gone into a room and been able to travel
Yes.
without other people talking,
Oh,
that I would have gotten more information.
Dawn, this is absolutely amazing. It's happening right here, right now on our show here. Anastasia has meant so much to me, and I can't get anybody to relate to her. And you're mentioning her. I often, any movies that are on what she did and what happened to her, I am so intrigued by. So I can't believe Biltmore and Anastasia. This is happening right in front of us, okay? So here we go again. I'm so used to looking at that screen. So if I'm cool, it's not there. So I'm looking up. So please forgive me. Okay.
You want to give out the phone number? I think Margaret is trying to call in.
All right, Margaret,
Oh,
just give a
okay.
call, 888-994-4995.
She called me 12 times.
Studio A.
Well, Margaret, if you're listening, we wish you a very, very happy birthday. And I can't sing because I'm not very good, but I could ask Freddie and Dawn happy birthday to you. Well, we'll just say happy birthday.
Happy birthday. But you know, people have many past lives and many synchronicities or non-coincidences of where you end up and why.
Well, we actually, because we come back, my belief is we come back many, many times. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of videos on this, but when I do, what people talk about is very much the messages. I don't want to lead myself into something, so I don't watch too much of this. But when I do, I relate to what they're talking about. So I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people out there. I just don't listen to a lot of people. So I keep losing it. Can you just give me the question again?
The many past lives that we have.
Yes, we have many, many past lives. So when we're in this lifetime, if we're meant to, be it karma, be it whatever it is, or reconnect with somebody that we perhaps knew from another lifetime, we incarnate with them. Not everybody. A lot of them we leave up where we are, but we do incarnate with many of the people that we might need to karma to work out something with. So we are given that opportunity in each lifetime. It's entirely up to us. We are guided and we work it all out when we're not here. But we have free will, and that's very, very important to understand that. I used to say we have free will, but I didn't necessarily understand it. So we don't have to always follow. But if we do, it's like I'm an artist now. I've written a book. I'm giving lectures on what I do. This is my passion, and I've never been happier than I am in the latter part of my life. So that's very, very important. And I am going to actually lecture to senior citizens, because never give up on your dream, on your passion. And it will show itself in the lifetime that we're in now.
Do you think you're not you, but people, dreams, passions change?
In each lifetime, but we need to fulfill our passion. That's a very good question, actually, but I'm just beginning to understand that. We have a passion. My passion is to put my word out, what's happened to me through my art, through my book. But we all have different, because we're all different. So we have different passions. And if you're following that passion, it's very important to follow it, because I truly believe that if you believe in yourself and that there is something more going on, you will, I'm going to put that out there, you will succeed. We will manifest, and that's very important. Just know that you can manifest. And I've had a really, really good example of that over this last year, because everything that I feel happy about that I'm doing, and I have said, and I mean, I'm not just saying it out of ego, I know I'm going to be successful at what I'm doing. It came to me at I'm a senior, but I'm not giving up on my dream, because it's very, very important. And it seems like, people who say, don't say that because it's going to change. No, say it. It's not going to change. What I'm doing, I'm getting my word out at a latter part of my life, but I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, which is my passion.
I think we need to give you a new paper towel that says, my new book is coming out now. Because you said my book.
Well,
right?
actually,
So you had a second edition.
I have
that
another
came out.
edition coming out in 6 or 7 months. So this is still a revision of the older book, which actually explains, timing is important. There is no time, but the timing on this particular book is the time now, because this is what happened to me. My new book that's coming out in 6 months is slightly different, but this one is exactly everything because I documented in it what happened to me. Well, it's quite a few years ago now back, but I would wake up at night and document my dreams, which this book is about. And I have a platform to talk to people over this last couple of years. So had it have come out earlier, which it did for a little while, nobody would have known what I was talking about. But because we go out on the air and many people are listening to my show, it explains everything. I didn't have a show when the first book came out. So everything has a place and a time. My new book, which is going to be in 6 months, is going to be similar, but it's not going to be what I documented. So the first one is important to buy, which is a continuation in the second book, which will be out short. Well, it's going to be a few more months, but it will be out there. So it's a continuation. The movie, the script, is more of what happened more in what's happening to me. Because it's going to hopefully be a movie. I'm not even going to say hopefully. It will be a movie.
So this book that's out now is the original book?
It's revised. Yes, I revised.
What revised it?
Well, because it's a few years ago. First of all, the picture on the back, I look a little bit differently, but it's more updated of what I've been doing in my life a little bit.
So this is not what you were working with, Lynn?
No, that's
Okay.
going to come out in 6 months.
I
But
got
this
you.
book
See,
is
here I am
very
thinking it was that one.
No, but this book is as important because it documents my journey of how I got to where I am. So the book that I'm going to be having coming out, which is going to be out in about 5, if not even 5 months maybe, is a continuation of after I've experienced what I have. But this one is very important to read, so you know what I'm talking about.
I'm getting messages for you on Google
Okay, yeah, I Google.
from
Google.
Margaret. She's writing on Google.
She's getting good with the internet. Congratulations,
Margaret says, would like to connect with Sally's show. Does my guide have a message for me?
Margaret, just believe in everything that we've talked about, okay? It's your time now, okay? You have time. You're sitting there. Unfortunately, I know that you had a car accident, but you're recovering. This time is very important for you. You know that. And you're going to be well, and you're going to be doing a lot of things that you're going to be coming to where my lectures are, and everything is going to work out for you. I love you, Margaret. You're a good friend.
See, when there's a will, there's a way. I'm getting
Absolutely.
messages on Google Maps from Margaret. Somehow, even on Google Maps, she's finding
I
you.
don't know, because Margaret doesn't understand the computer or the internet, but
When
you're
there's-
doing very, very well. Congratulations, Margaret, and happy birthday once again.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
Sally, today I saw you give one of the producers in here a message about a prior life. And I don't know how to ask my question because I want to know about my prior life.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say that I always am, you know, if someone doesn't believe, I did not know the producer, so my first question was, do you believe in previous lives? He really didn't say yes, so I was a little apprehensive. I don't often have that, people in the studio, but when I do give it, I believe it's important. So he accepted what I gave him, and I'm very happy. So he's keeping an open mind. Freddie, your past lives, yes, I am getting a message about that. The last, we've had I'm going to go as far as saying thousands of our past lives, but the last life, sometimes we can have a little bit remembrance from. And I truly, truly feel, and I've said this to Dawn, so she knows that I'm saying this, that we, in the entertainment business, you were in the entertainment business. I want to say, I don't know a whole lot about Broadville, is it Broadville? Broadville, Moulin Rouge, Toulouse-Lautrec. You were part of this. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
I don't know how to respond to that. What do you?
Okay.
What is
you
that?
were in
France.
entertainment in France, Moulin Rouge. You don't have, just know that I'm giving you this message. Dawn was, I was, I believe Steve was. We come back and reconnect with people. I know now that was part of my life. How many times have we talked about this? Do you like the song La Vie en Rose?
I don't know.
He doesn't know. Okay. All right. We'll talk more about it. But I do believe that you're continuing in a different form of what you have done before. Now, that's only one life, Freddie. You've had many, many other ones. But you were definitely, I wanted to say, a very successful entertainer.
Entertainer as a singer, a dancer, a
Actually,
belliacher, a singer.
And what we would call
I must
someone
say,
that
yes,
introduce
yes.
people. You come out on the stage and you were, what do they call that? Somebody that's
A
like,
ham?
The MC.
Yes, and you
ham,
would talk
yes.
about what they're going to be doing.
Oh, an announcer, like
An
an MC?
announcer, yes. He would come out on the stage, and I think it was Moulin Rouge because we brought that up. Montmartre. I did not know that Moulin Rouge was in Montmartre, but I heard some. We would listen to Moulin Rouge, and that was what I've been talking about. Dawn, you feel comfortable with that?
Oh, I know that's totally what he did. and
You
who he
did.
was.
Okay,
I've
thank
told
you.
him that.
Thank you.
'cause
Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely,
Yes.
that was you.
I don't listen to what she tells me. She's nuts.
This isn't coincidence. You're doing what you're doing. It's not coincidence that I'm
Why
sitting here.
French? I'm not French.
Well, you were in another life. Doesn't mean that you're going to come back the same thing. Your personality, as far as I know, doesn't change a lot. It'll change with the situation of what you have basically chosen to be in this particular life. This is our core lifetime. There are other ones still going on, but this is what we remember. But think about it. Okay. I'm
Were
gonna
you
give
were
all
you
the-
there?
I was there.
Were
Dawn
you a
was there.
singer?
I don't know because I can't sing in this lifetime, but it's
No, but it
possible.
doesn't matter this lifetime.
I was, yes, I was an entertainer too.
And was she there?
Absolutely.
And she was a
100%.
singer?
Yes, because we entertained together. Don't you feel comfortable? How is this happening?
Yes.
We're comfortable
And
together.
Steve was there too? You got a lot of
Steve was there too.
people with no
actually.
voices.
But he was more of. Wait a minute. I think Steve was a dancer. I don't know.
You
A
never
dancer.
know.
The strange thing, and it's not strange. I've talked about this with Steve and with you, but not so much with Freddie. The Can-Can was a great movie. I
Steve was
believe
the
that
Can-Can man?
No,
Girl.
but I was talking. We were looking at one of my paintings at home. He's not here because he's gone back to work. But if he's listening, we were looking at the painting, and suddenly it's very difficult to pick out what's in my paintings. He said, I see someone Can-Can dancing, a woman. I saw the same thing. We put Can-Can on, and the person that was dancing was exactly what we saw in the painting. He's not here to say, yes, that happened, but it did. So we were all together.
People
on
are
that.
writing and they want to know more about your book.
Okay, my book is basically my journey of how I've got to where I am. If you had asked me before I actually started my book and you said, do you believe in past lives? I'd have said, not really. I had read Shirley MacLaine's book Out on a Limb, and it was ringing some sort of a bell. But at that time, I had many, many things happen to me at work. And suddenly, I kept a very open mind. So my book is my journey. I had a dream, and in that dream, they told me to paint. I had Aldo, who is mentioned in my book as Adamir. Actually, he's Adamir in my book. And I started to sketch, but I was sketching from previous lives. I have all the documents. I was waking up at 3 in the morning. I even put the time and the date of what my journey was and what was happening to me. I was astral projecting, actually, and I was also abducted. At the time, I didn't know that I was being abducted, but I realize now, and if you go into my book and you will see that, you'll see I've written many things that were happening to me, of people that were talking to me, and actually of Aldo, in the book, there are drawings of him interpreting my art, of what he saw, because he was very advanced, and he came into my life at that time.
So this is the story of how you started doing your astral projecting and,
Yes.
and meeting Aldo,
Absolutely.
doing some of your beginning drawings, and then where does it stop?
Well, that's what I say was I revised it because I have a lot of my sketching in there, which is important with his interpretations. He's no longer with us, but he's with me. I know that. So I've put some of more updated pictures in there too. That's also very important for viewers too to know, because I've progressed a lot during that period of time. But today, when I read that book now and I pick it up, I remember every single one of my travels. And what happened to me is I suddenly said, well, how am I talking to these people if I'm traveling? I was abducted. And viewers now know, I haven't put that in the book, but it's up to them to maybe interpret to see what was actually happening to me. I did not realize at the time. I thought I was just seeing, which is just as crazy anyway, because we're not trained to know that we can go to different places, but I was.
And then it stops at what point, and then when does the new book pick up? Is it a part 2, or is it a
Yes,
whole different?
it's actually going to be a part 2 to this book, because it's a follow-up of everything that's happened to me over maybe the last 12 years or so, because I didn't stop my journey, and I believe I say that somewhere in my book. I said there will be more to come. I recommend a few people to listen to, Wayne Dyer being one of them, and I continued my journey. I put that in the newer book, which will be out in about 5 months. The movie, and it will come out, is going to be more of my life, of who I am and what's happened during my lifetime. Although this does start off that way a little bit.
Now, Sally, you're going to be doing some public speaking. Will you be introducing the book during the seminar?
Yes, I will, because I think it's important for people to understand a little bit of my background of what's happened to me. Also, what I've been through in my life. I mean, I believe that that's important too. Everybody looks at me and says, oh, well, I landed here and everything was all right. Everything was fine. No, it was not. I've had a lot of difficulties in my life to overcome. But I did remain positive. I had a lot of things happening to me, and I said, it woke me up. I mean, things that could not possibly have been coincidence. And that's in my book too. Some of the stories of how I reconnected. My stepmother was in London. I had lost contact with her. I found her over here. She was here on a vacation. I'm in a strange place in a hairdressing shop, and they're talking about my stepmother. All these things just, they happen, but it's hard to explain. How does that happen? I knew at that point there was much more. That's in the book. I mean, I'm here. Obviously, I want people to read my book, but it is important maybe to understand where I'm coming from, because we're all coming from that place. We just don't know it.
A lot of past lives. All right, should we take a commercial break?
Yes, yes.
Let's take a commercial break. Give us a call, 888-994-4995, Studio A. More to come, and take a look at Sally's commercial.
I'm eager to see it.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say what in the world is going on. And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book and artwork by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show.
Hi, we're back on the other side of our show, my show. Okay, Dawn, do you have a question?
I want to talk about your art a little bit. That your art, we just played the commercial. All the art that surrounds us during your show is your art, and it's for sale.
It is, yes. And I don't necessarily make this a commercial on my show, but it's also nice to tell people that it is also for sale. So,
My mic is
Oh.
on. Thank you. That's your art, that it's for sale.
yes, of course, anything in the show. And anybody that's local, please come down, because I'm not the only artist in here. We have several beautiful paintings in the studio, and you're more than welcome. Come in, be a guest on my show, or sit and listen to what I have to say. The more people in the audience, we get that higher vibrational energy. So I encourage anybody that's local, even as far, I would say we're in Boca, so even as far as West Palm or up to Jupiter, it's still not a very long journey to get here. I'm from Miami too. So please feel free, Mondays, well, anytime, but my show is 2:30 to 3:30 on a Monday. And also a Friday, my show is on art. So we'll be happy to see anybody that comes into the studio.
And anyone who wants to call, give us a call at 888-994-4995, Studio A, or write in your questions, anything. Scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen, and it take you right to Author House to purchase Sally's book. You can get it there. You can get the ebook. You can get the paperback book. You can also get it on Amazon and get the Kindle version. So a lot of options to get the backstory to where she is now. Now, when I was younger, Sally, I would go to psychics, and when I was younger, I went to a psychic. And then as things passed, I went, and one said to me that my son was with me in a past life. I think I told you this. She told me that my son was my father in a past life. He came back in this life to still protect me, but in a different version.
I see that. And again, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we don't necessarily come back as the same member of our family. Your father, your mother could have been a child of ours in a previous life. I believe that the psychic told you what was correct. Yes, I do. You know, everybody feels comfortable seeing that or feeling that, but I know that I'm going to say advanced enough for certain people that it's all right to know that. It's actually a comforting feeling when you think about it, really, to know that we stay with our members of our family and also our friends. Our friends are also can be our relatives too. So it doesn't matter in what capacity, but just know that we do come back. We can have a big, what they call soul group. We can have a lot of people actually in our soul group. They don't always incarnate at the same time, but if they're not here on this particular life, they're watching us, which is also a comfort.
So what's the message today from Elizabeth or from my guides?
Well, that's interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dawn, because we often mentioned Elizabeth. I was not sure. I knew that she was watching you. I had a feeling that she was watching me, but again, in my dream, which you'll see from my book, I have many dreams, she was my mother came from a family of 9. She was the youngest. But one of her sisters, Elizabeth, who always went by the name Betty, was always with my mother. So when I would visit my mother, she was like my mother too, because she never had children. But she came to me to tell me that she was the Elizabeth that we didn't know. She was also in another lifetime with you, Dawn. And she's watching both of us, because we were, and I know you don't mind coming out with this, we were together in another lifetime. She's watching both of us. And she's telling me right now, oh my goodness, am I proud of you both, okay? I really feel that very strongly. You know that she's been with you because you actually gave me the name Elizabeth. I just didn't know that that was my aunt until she came to me to tell me, well, it's me. So there we go.
So what messages does she have of us going forward?
She's feeling that what we call the future, although it's happened, but an easier way to describe this is that they know what's going to be happening to us. We don't. We do, but we don't know that we know it. So what lies ahead in our future is all, I'm positive, so she may say that I think that's Bernie talking with.
Bernie, can you guys
Could you,
shush?
it's distracting me slightly. Okay. Can you just rephrase? I'm sorry.
We're
Dawn,
talking about,
thank
you guys are just being loud over there.
Yeah,
We're
that's
talking
okay.
about
Guys will be guys. Right?
what Elizabeth had to say. You said about the futures.
Yes, they see what's going to happen because they're here to guide us, so they can give us our messages. We don't always follow the messages because we hear it in our head and we think that, I'm just imagining that. But she's watching what we're doing. She's seeing that our future, we follow it, is good. I know I say that because I'm a positive person, but really because we're bringing it up. I feel very strongly about follow what you feel comfortable with. I don't like to give messages to people that I feel that something is not right, but I have a duty to tell that person. And I don't feel, she's telling me to do that too. Because if you think something isn't right, for me, if I give you that message, don't necessarily have to follow it, but at least I've opened the door to give you that message. I can't always tell you, but I do feel that a lot of things that have happened to me, especially premonitions, and I've always had somebody with me to verify that premonition. I mean, it's not that I would ever make anything up, but you guys don't know me. But when I give a story, I've always sort of somewhere along the line had someone to witness that, to see it. And that was a very good example the night that I was astral projecting, when I was scared and Steve walked into the room and I was paralyzed. Well, that's part of astral projection, or wherever you are paralyzed. I know, Freddie, that you can relate to that. That was a very, very important thing that happened, because it opens your mind to say, we're not, everything we see, we don't see everything. But when you start to begin to believe it, you start seeing. It's like the invisible, very, very much coming to me, the invisible becomes visible, but you've got to have an open mind to see it. And some things that happen are so unexplainable, but when it happens, and especially if you see somebody with you that sees it, I often thought, am I making this up? But I know I'm not. I know what happened to me, and it can happen to anybody. Just got to have an open mind.
Sometimes something happens and then there are pieces. You can't figure it all out. I think a lot of people get hooked on trying to explain the unexplainable.
That's very true, and I did too. But I was lucky enough to have Aldo in my life who had experienced and understood a lot of what I was going through. We don't always have what I call an Aldo in my life. He's Adamir in my book, so he was with me.
But doesn't everybody have an opportunity to get an Aldo?
Absolutely, everybody does. But it's like having a book, let's say, or something, a book there, and you don't open it. The information is there, but you know what? You've got to be able to say, I'm interested. This is just coming to me very strongly. Let's open the book and see what happens. Because if you don't know, although these things, curiosity is really important. You've got to be curious enough to say, okay, I believe that you can say the words, yes, I believe there's something else, but you've got to feel it. I'm not necessarily saying research it, because I didn't do a lot of research, but you're going to feel it. And when these things happen, because they're trying very hard to give everybody a message so that you go through this life in a slightly different way, because life is not easy, but it's so comforting to know that you're actually being protected. But if you don't want that protection, they can try their hardest, but if you don't accept it, you're not going to have it. So that's just, everything I'm saying is coming through somebody that's telling me this. But I believe it does make sense. To me, it does. And I said to myself, how am I talking for somebody else? But I know, especially when I listen to myself, I am. Because if you know me in my everyday life, and Steve, if you're listening or will listen to this,
He is.
I sometimes don't make sense when I'm Sally. I can't remember names, and he'll tell you that. I can't remember. But on my show, I actually become a different person, which you guys have seen too. And I'm not going to say confident, but I can more or less answer any question. Can Sally do that? I don't think so. When I'm here, I'm not able to do that. But once I take on this persona, and it is because I'm being given these messages, and it can happen not just on my show. I'm very accurate about it. And I'm able to watch myself because this show is being recorded. So it's a good thing for me.
She's accurate about things, absolutely. Past lives for sure. I told you all this stuff over the weekend. I was right there, and if I looked, there would have been more. And it just kept coming, and no coincidences.
And you're such a good example, Dawn, because I'm glad that, I'm sitting here with you because I know you know this, but it takes something more to really begin to understand it. I had Aldo. I'm not Aldo. He remembered most of any lifetime that he needed in this lifetime, but he opened the door for me, and I had him 24 hours a day, close to 18 years, for him to help me with this. And there wasn't a day that went by that he didn't, if he wasn't staying with me, would call me. What do you need to know now? How can I help you? And my goodness, do I miss him now? Absolutely, because I'm so into this. But he's with me still. I know that. He's with me. And he told me when I transition, his last words were to me before he passed. He said, when you transition, I will be there for you, because he's on a higher vibrational energy. And he's still there. And we are. Our loved ones are still all around us. How great is that to begin to understand that, to know that they haven't left us. And just to say love never dies. It's about life. Love will always be there.
You have a question about the futures? Because it seems we were talking about futures since this morning.
Well, I'm curious to see in what direction, because I do see a lot of signs, and today has been a really 360, no, 180 towards things that I thought make more sense. And it continues even now, what you heard before, people coming in and wanting to expand where we are. And it looks to me like I need a bigger boat, and perhaps that's even occurred. I don't know. So I'm going to ask you, what direction am I supposed to go in?
Well, actually, you have more answers than me, because I can answer you. But what you feel you want to do and what you feel that you're aiming for, it's not coincidence that you're thinking that. This is coming directly from a guide, okay? Because what we put, it's our passion. Same as what I'm doing, Freddie. So don't lose track of what you believe that you are going to be doing. It is expanding, absolutely expanding into greater, bigger, more. It's going to go out much more into the airways. But I can give you all these messages, and I see that. But it's still up to you. It's not just you, anybody that I give a message to be able to, because we manifest. And manifestation is so important. We get these messages, and what we put out can happen as long as you believe that. So what you're aiming for, and I believe it's expansion, going out on the road, doing many things, maybe having a bigger studio, or as I had said, I feel that maybe you'll go up a little bit in this studio and have another level. I don't know. But it's still, I can give you all, I don't know how you would do that. It might just be something that you're going to, but it's still up. I can give you anything, but it's still up to you to believe it. And I know that you do, and you have the capability of understanding that, which some people are not at that point in their life. What I need to tell you is you are at that point in your life. You are able to understand it, but you still got to believe yourself. Just know that whatever, I see it happening to me. People will say, well, she sounds like, oh my goodness, she's going to be successful. If I listen to people and they say, don't do this, or you're never going to, especially at my age, if I started telling people, they go, you're far too old to be able to do that. No, I believe now in what I'm doing. It takes courage to do that. Courage, very much so. But you guys, both of you, are so ready to manifest what you want, because it's all around you. And I know you guys believe it. You're sitting here on the studio with me.
People have just walked in here off the street, and the funniest thing is we do not have a sign that even says who we are. and they still find us off the street.
Can I explain that a little bit more? I'm understanding that. I was surprised. I still am, but
That we
not
have
as
no
much.
sign, I know.
But it's not so much that. It's since I've been here. If I met the right people, absolutely. I'm out on doing the shows on the road now that I'm going to be doing through someone I met here. We live, and I will say this as much as I can because it's so important. We raise our vibrational energy. Nothing really changes. The studio is exactly like it was maybe 4 years ago. May have different paintings here. So nothing changes around you, and this is wherever you are. What happens, we change. This is so important. We change. So as we go higher in a vibrational energy, you're in the same place, but you're now attracting people on that higher vibrational energy. It's taken me a long time to complete, and I don't understand it completely. So how am I able to? I'm coming into a studio here. We recognized each other right away because you were on a higher vibration. If I had been lower, I probably wouldn't have even walked into the studio. So I'm seeing more. In other words, you start to see more. So everything here is the same, but they call it parallel lives, or they'll call it things, any name. But it's really not that difficult, because once you raise up that you don't have to go far up because there's much more happening, but enough to be able to, and I think they call it the law of attraction, you are going to be able to attract what you want. But we're in the same place. Nothing changes. I may have to repeat this again on another show because it's taken me a long time to begin to understand this. We are in our now. You know how you hear people say, stay in your now? Our now, nothing changes. We change. And I think that's the best way to start explaining that. I'm going to write that down in the new book, actually, because I think it's important. You don't have to get it, but as long as you're aware of that, and it's negative and positivity. What do I try to talk about all the time? Being positive, because you're going to attract positivity, which is on a slightly higher vibration. There's many more different degrees of that. They call it the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension. I believe there's 12 dimensions, only from what I'm given in what I hear. So people, I'm not there. I'm maybe on the 5th or 6th dimension. I'm going to attract people on that dimension. It goes as far as somebody else may not even see that person. I was explaining this to Steve. When I was working, Aldo was with me, and he told me all this, but I wasn't ready to hear it yet. It's taken me many years. But he'd say to me, sometimes people won't see me. And I go, what the heck is he talking about? People won't see him. He's standing here talking to me. Sure enough, I'd say I was talking to Aldo, and people there would say, because I had a lot of people around me, but he wasn't here today. Yes, he was. I was talking to him. I know he was here. He said to me, because they can't see me. Oh, this sounds ridiculous. In our 3D, it sounds crazy. But when you begin to, and it takes a while to understand this, to know that it's possible. I've had proof of this, and I've had people around me that have said that, and I've had a conversation. It's true. But if I went back to that 3 dimension, they wouldn't see me talking to Aldo. Not all the time. Of course, they saw him. I'm just talking like we're doing here. But I was able to he told me this time and time again, but I didn't understand it. I see it now.
Do you ever wonder why you?
Well, yes, but I believe that we can all do this. I'm not, and I will say this all the time, I'm not special. However, it was my time to do it now, to come into this world. I did not know that. It happened at a later age, I was getting older. But it's my time to spread this. Aldo, and I will say it again, he used to say to me, be my mouthpiece. I didn't know he was younger than me, but he transitioned before me. But he's still with me, and he's going to carry on with this. And he's putting the right people, because I'm on that higher vibration, and I see it happening. I wanted to go out to expand. I'm staying here, but I wanted to give the message out, maybe on a stage. I saw a stage years ago with my paintings behind there. I still know it's going to happen. But I'm on a stage when I go into the country clubs. May not be able to do the paintings behind me. I don't know how it works. But I see that, and it will happen because I believe it.
Higher vibration, you go upwards. Do you share that higher vibration with other people?
Only people that are First of all, it starts
Because
with
not a lot of people are going to buy that theory.
and I completely understand that. I'm talking, maybe, I understand that people might say, what is she talking about? However, I truly believe that the viewers I have, and my numbers go up like every week, are interested enough to understand this. It's not that they're silly because they can't understand it. It's a different way of thinking. So start off with being positive and believing that there's more. That takes you to a different, let's say, energy. I call it vibration. It's an energy that on that energy, like if you turn a television on, and it's difficult to really explain it, but they're saying you turn on a station, it's still running on a different station, but once you turn that on and you tune in and it's, let's say, educational, you're listening to something that you hadn't heard before. So and it's positive, it's important. People used to say to me, stop listening to the news. We don't listen to the news. You know, I kind of stopped. And I feel that I feel that I'm where I'm meant to be. We're all where we're meant to be, but it doesn't stop us learning.
But does that mean, okay, so if I'm curious, is that a positive or a negative?
Positive. Anything where you're learning that takes you away from all this negativity in the world actually helps the world too. Because once we start putting out this different vibrational energy, what we're doing here, we're killing each other. I mean, I don't have to go into it all. We know what we're doing because we're on a lower energy. That higher, I'm going to say higher, it's around us. We move into a different frequency. Let's call it frequency because we are energy. That's all we are, is energy. We start to see more, even when you see something negative, and I think I said this on your show, we can still turn that negative somewhere into some type of positive. We could all do that on a mass because we are all connected. It would change what we're happening in this world today that's so full of negativity. And the more you feed into that, just like the more you feed into a higher energy, the more negativity is going to come to you. The more positivity is going to come to you. It's worth trying. You know what? Even if you don't believe it, and there are people who are going, well, I like listening to her show. I don't get it. That's fine. I didn't get it. But I'm beginning to because I've got that open mind.
It's interesting. Are you getting a message for his sister from Mimi? Why is Mimi keep in my head for days? You getting anything from Mimi, Sally? Maybe Mimi is my
I
grandmother.
don't have to know.
So maybe Mimi is my
I
grandmother.
think it's more for you.
But I
Do you
keep
have
hearing-
a Mimi?
Yes,
You
my
know what?
grandmother.
It's your grandmother.
I keep hearing Mimi. I told you for days.
It's not. It's more for you.
What is
I don't know.
she saying?
Believe. Okay? Because I think she did. She may not have broadcasted it to people, but she had a strong belief. You know, I mean, people say, well, it's not religious what I'm talking about. No, it's not. But, you know, religion is, I'm going to say, is better because you have faith. Faith is what's important, and that's what she's saying to me. I think she was a little religious. I'm not sure. But she's saying have faith because it's faith. It's of the unknown. I talk about that, my journey into the unknown. But once it becomes a little known, you're open to more. It's like you suddenly say, oh, what else is happening? What's going to happen today? You kind of expect something to happen. I mean, I've seen that with Steve. I haven't known him that long, and unfortunately, he got cancer, which is now cancer-free. But I couldn't come down to, you know, but some people will say, well, why are you not doing this or that? I couldn't come down to that lower energy, and he knows that today, and I still can't. But he's beginning to see it. He's getting it. He's going, okay, I'm not having a good day, but it's going to be a better day. That's normal. A lot of people think that way. But it bothered me.
Yeah, but now look, he's back at work, and by you keeping a high vibration and him staying positive,
Yep.
and it was rough, we know, he's back at work 9 months later, which
Yep.
is unheard of. It's incredible, the
And he's
recovery
actually
he's had.
telling this story to people because he's opening up a little bit more to what I do. Maybe he was a little more secretive about it, but he's saying, and I don't need thanks, but it's nice to have recognition. And he is telling people, I'm with like the best person because she gets it. and all that I had said. And, I don't know where my life is going to go. I haven't changed, I have to stay on that higher vibration. But it's up to everybody to stay on. But I'm in my life, it's very important for me because I'm an empath, and you know what that is too. I can't take lower vibrational energy. It physically makes me not well. So I have to, at this age in my life, I am going to be with people the best that they can. If they're not positive, I'm going to try and make them positive.
He's rubbing his head because there's so many times, I'm like, why do I feel this way? What did I walk into? Parking garages in me in Miami have a thing.
You said something earlier, loud noises. I could never listen to fireworks as a child. And I was so scared that I would go to the theater, and in those days they could, have a gun. It wasn't a real gun, but it made a loud bang. I knew that I had to walk out of the theater because I knew I couldn't. And I thought I was so different. What is wrong with me? But I knew what it did to me. Now it's making much more sense.
It makes sense. And Steve's saying he wanted people to understand that this new book, the revised version, is a good read for everyone. It gets you ready for the next one coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Yes, and that is absolutely true because you've read this book. Well, you see what's happened to me, but the next one will be a continuation, actually. So,
what I like about this book and about what you do is that it gives people an opportunity to open up and start their own book.
yes,
Because yours exists.
I totally agree with you because, again, I'm not going to say it's all about me because it isn't. We are all connected. I still got to somehow get that. I get it, but I don't completely because we have free will. But it gives people, it may not be a book, it could be anything, but it may be a career that they've wanted to do. There is no age limit on this, and that's really important. And we were talking about that earlier in your show. I actually wanted to be an attorney for many years. I loved the law. But as I was getting to my 30s and 40s, I thought I was too old to go back to college. It doesn't matter because I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing now. But I've always missed not taking that because I thought I was too old at 30 to study to be an attorney. So it turns out that everything is all right, and I did what I meant to do, and I met the right people. But you're never too old because any age you think, if you're over like 17 or 20, you think you're too old to carry on and do it. No, you're not. I'm in the latter part of my life. Still not quite ready to come out with my age. But
I feel like our studio is conducive to people in any stage of life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wherever you are.
Yep. You're never too old. You're never too, as long as you're here, you're not too old. A young person can be old because that's what they've chosen to be. An old person can be young. They're telling me that very strongly.
So let's have everyone check out the QR code on their screen.
It's on the screen.
You can check out the QR code and order your copy of Call Me Zena, the revised edition of the first book. It's $3.99 for the ebook on Author House, and then for the Kindle it's $3.99, or you can get the paperback. Either way, this QR code will take you right to Author House. You can scan me right there. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you to my guests, Dawn and Freddie, and I'll see you this time next week. Well, not quite this time. It'd be an hour. We're starting 2:30. Okay. Bye-bye for now. Stay.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.